Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting for December 19th, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order. Ms. Meredith, may you please call the roll?
Dr. Derek Hunt,
Present.
Victor Mendoza,
Present.
David Brown,
Present.
Dan Mikulinka,
Present.
Cynthia Staley, Rebecca Spears,
Present.
Brian Olguin, Monica Rodriguez, Ralph Gonzalez.
Present.
We have one.
Thank you. As a reminder, tonight's meeting is being simulcast via TV 15. At this time, we want to go ahead and open up for citizens' communication. If we have any citizens that is wishing to speak, only in items that's not listed for the public hearing, this is the time that you may do so. You may come up and we ask that you limit it to 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Michael Vondro. I live at 2204 East North Street, Lot 20A. It's Victoria Oaks. The trailer park looks like a war zone, and I have been complaining about it. And the reason I don't complain to the community manager, because she has a sign that says no trespassing and locks her gate. So instead of going through her, I usually go to Public Works or Code Enforcement. And the city of Victoria really don't understand why the trailer park owner can't fix the trailer park. He is a personal injury lawyer. He's very successful and makes a lot of money, and he could easily fix it. But instead, he chooses to turn a blind eye and not fix it. And when he's supposed to go to court, he needs to show up to go to court, you know. And I wish he could come in person to go to court, you know. And he has no interest in fixing it. And he did give me, along with the general manager, an unlawful eviction. And I've officially evicted on December the 23rd, and they refused to tell me when I did wrong. I always pay my rent on time. I've been paying it on time for 30 years, and I do want the city of Victoria to hold the trailer park owner accountable. It's very unprofessional the way he's treating us and the way he's treating the city of Victoria. And code enforcement can no longer do anything because he don't listen to them. So it's really up to the legal department to do anything. Maybe under civil forfeiture laws, the city of Victoria just needs to take over the trailer park. Thanks, and have a good evening. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Michael. At this time, again, I'll ask if we have anyone that is willing to speak during citizens communication that's dealing with any items that is not listed on the public hearing. At this time, we will go ahead and close the citizens communication, and we'll go to our first item on public hearing. Our first item is the variance request for the off-street parking for a residential townhouse located at 209 Chantilly Street. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. So the property at 209 Chantilly Street is platted and developed as a residential townhouse with 2 off-street parking spaces covered by an open carport, meeting the minimum parking requirements. The owner began the conversion of the open carport into an enclosed garage without obtaining any permits. With the conversion of the carport into the enclosed garage, the property is no longer meeting their minimum requirements. The enclosed garage does not meet the standards for off-street parking. All off-street parking must be located on the owner's own private property. Enclosing the carport does not allow enough space for the minimum off-street parking requirement for the owner's property. Staff is recommending denial of the variance request to eliminate the minimum off-street parking for the residential townhome. Additionally, separate variances were presented to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals for the fire separation distance, emergency escape, and rescue openings of a bedroom. The board on Monday did deny those variance requests. I'm open to any questions.
Do we have any questions for Celeste? No, thank you. At this time, we will go ahead and we're open for public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item We're asking that you please come forward at this time and limit it to 3 minutes. Okay, well, now.
Whoa, sorry.
Okay,
Slow it down.
yes, ma'am.
I'm Debbie Reed. I'm the owner
Go ahead.
of 209 Chantilly. And there's 3 other enclosed carports there that are garages. And it does not open up onto a street in the back. It opens onto a driveway, which is about 2.5 car widths. The property has been there for 45 years. People have put buildings, boats, everything else under those carports. Still managed to have adequate parking. Like I said, there's also 3 other garages there that still have adequate parking. I understand that this is not good to the code. The board on Monday told me that they started cracking down on people, so I guess I just came too late. But I would really like a garage for safety, security, and privacy. So any consideration I could get for that, I would appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that is willing or wanting to speak at this time publicly? Dealing with this item.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Debbie Sperlin Garner. I own the townhome at 211, right next door. I don't mind if she has a garage. My problem is that the side of my garage is not a common wall. I've had 3 incidents with the new owner, and where jackhammering took place under my dining room wall, which cracked my dining room wall and separated a bookcase. She put up a new roofing that went under my roof of my garage, on one of the garages. I've been living there since 2011, and the last incident was where she poured concrete. I don't mind. I have a problem with her encroaching on my property. There are property lines there for a reason, and I've spoken with Miss Debbie about that side of my garage is not a common wall. And when the concrete went down for the garage she's trying to put up, she put concrete on my side, and I've had hardy plank or hardy panel, so if you can break it, bust into it and stuff. Like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I'm a kind of laid back, keep to myself kind of person, and it's been very stressful with the property damage that's taken place to my townhome and my garage. Thank you, Commissioners, for listening to me.
Thank you. If there's no one else at this time, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. And Commissioners, do we have any further discussion that we may want to discuss or?
I have a question about the property lines. Can you clarify, Celeste?
Are you asking me on property line or the,
I'm asking you.
oh, okay. So the yellow is, the highlighted is her property completely.
Sam?
So with townhomes, they do share common walls in the buildings as they go, but right there's the highlighted yellow would be her property lines.
Sam, but didn't we just hear that this garage, when it was built, went over the property line onto her?
No. The garage is on her property. She enclosed the carport. So the carport is on her property, which is over the 2 off-street parkings that she has assigned to that townhome. She's enclosing that carport.
So we do not have a survey of the existing enclosure of the garage that was built without any permits.
So we really don't know
we
if the
don't-
statement made is correct.
Right, we don't know if it encroaches or not. It very well may. It's easy to do things like to have small encroachments of a few inches even or centimeters because of the nature of it being townhome development and common walls.
I can say that, unfortunately, we closed the public hearing. But I can say that I researched, because once I got to look that way, I was researching, and just looking at that area, being familiar in that area, where I go through, where you had those, and it's unfortunate that you had those that built garages there prior to, but even my researching, it wasn't done the right way. And so now we have a situation to where even when that place is there, it's kind of hard for traffic, or if somebody was to stay, a park there, it would hinge the area. And so that's my comment on the situation. It's unfortunate, but when you look at it, I understand the reasoning, especially through the UDO. I went through and read and tried to see if I could find a loophole, but there was no.
So do we have a case of some properties being grandfathered where the garages are allowed, or?
Would we like to address that at all?
I wouldn't say they're grandfathered as we can't find evidence that they were legal. The appraisal district shows 2 were built in the early 80s and then 1 was constructed in 2010. So that is something that we will seek direction from City Council on as how to pursue the garages that appear to have been illegally constructed sometime in the past. But our practice has been, since I've been director in 2017, that we absolutely do pursue enforcement of illegally constructed structures.
I'm sorry, you said we do pursue.
Since 2017,
Okay.
when I was appointed as director, that is my direction to staff, and we've pursued a lot of illegally constructed structures.
You ready for a motion?
Yes. So right now, we're asking a motion on the development item regarding the off-street parking for the residential townhouse located at 209 Chattel Street, going with the recommendation of the staff. Do we have any motions or any actions?
Move for denial?
All right, we have one motion for denial. Or do we have a second?
I'll go ahead and second the denial.
We have a second. Motion passes. Although, I'm sorry, excuse me, apologize. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Or any opposed? All right, all in favor. Let us move to our second item of variance request for the minimum separation for the commercial animal use from single-family residential land use for a property located at 5902 Dairy Road. May we have the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. Our next variance request is to the required minimum separation distance for commercial animal uses to the single-family residential homes. The proposed animal use will be located at 5902 Dairy Road. The property owner wishes to open a doggy daycare and indoor boarding facility. The property currently abuts the residential neighborhood to the rear of the property, thereby not complying with the minimum separation distance. In order to open an animal use facility at this location, it would require the owner to obtain a waiver from every single-family residential property within 300 feet of this location. The applicant was unsuccessful in obtaining the required waivers and has now come before the commission to ask for a variance for the separation requirement. Staff recommends denial of the variance request to the recommended minimal separation distance for the commercial animal use to single-family residential homes. Staff believes the approval of the variance could have a detrimental impact on the surrounding single-family residential neighborhood based on the proposed animal use. The proposed animal use has the potential for added noise and odors being produced, which could impact the adjacent single-family neighborhood. The recently adopted Unified Development Ordinance established the separation standards to prevent the location of incompatible uses and provide for more neighborhood protection. Finally, a variance would not be necessary if all waivers were obtained. The lack of waivers indicates affected neighbors are not supported in this use. So in the slide, it says the yellow highlighted properties are single-family residences within 300 feet. The pink highlighted property is single-family residents opposed to the use, and the green highlighted property is a single-family residents who returned the waiver.
Thank you. Do we have any questions as so far for him right now?
So, I want to make sure, he said that the pink denied it, the other three didn't get any answers? Is that what you said?
The green is people who returned the waiver.
Okay.
Pink is denied.
Okay.
And then the yellow is just everybody within that 300 feet.
Okay, very good. All right.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll now open up for a public hearing. Before I ask any citizen to come up, I do want us to put on notice that all commissioners have a letter from a Miss Amanda Reyes, the owner of 124 Lancaster. So we do have that letter, and we reviewed this letter. And so we take that in account. But we want to open up, if there's any citizen that is here that would like to come forward and speak on this agenda item, you may do so at this time. When you come up, we ask you to please state your name and address, and we may come at this time. You're limited to 3 minutes. Any citizen is willing to come.
All right, my name is Nathan Henselka. My property butts right up to that property. My backyard does. I'm concerned about the dogs barking. I'm concerned about what it does to the value of the homes. Being able to sell my home with it there. What it does to the natural water flow of my backyard. What they're gonna build, how high, because there's a creek that runs right beside throughout the property that is a natural flow for our neighborhood, at least my side of the street. And if they build it up and block it, the water's gonna back up to my. Right now, those are my biggest concerns. Definitely the dog barking and the water flow and what it's gonna do to being able to sell my house. If, people come into my backyard and they have dogs barking, potential people that might buy it, they may back out because of that. And it wasn't like that when I bought the house. So, on top of that, this is low on the pole, but the female dogs that they have in there, if they're in heat, they're gonna make all the dogs in the neighborhood go crazy. Those are my biggest concerns. So I understand this is a variance. It's already been shot down by the city because of code. And those are my biggest concerns. How I'd like to have answers on those before I give a yes. When she came to the door, I was kind of shocked at what she said. And I was one of them that didn't give an answer and asked her to come back. I would think about it. After thinking about it, I don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nathan, appreciate it. Is there any more citizen at the time that'd like to speak? Please make sure you state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Priscilla Davis. I'm the owner to 5902 Dairy Road. When I purchased this property, I guess in June was the new ordinance of the 300 feet from the property line. I was unaware of it. I bought it for the doggy daycare. It's 2.2 acres, so I'm not going to go all the way back to the neighbors. Now, on Mr. Henselka, he is not directly behind my property. He has a house behind his property. From what he told me, he had neighbors in the back and on the side of him barking. The people that are directly behind me have said yes. Yes, they did not turn in their waivers, but it's very difficult to get them. I did get them to sign petitions, and I think you all have a list of the petitions of what them signing their name, because it's just difficult to get a waiver, to get notarized from someone. I had paid stamped envelopes. I gave it to them so that it could be easy. But all the ones that are directly behind me of my property line said yes. I do see other people that are here that I did go to the door. I explained to them that the doggy daycare would not, it would be certain hours. We would have a perimeter. It would be an indoor. There will not be any kennel runs. You know, this is property that I bought. I understand that their concern is, you know, the noise, but there's barking dogs in the neighborhood. They've had complaints of other people, their neighbors. Now, the neighbors that are here today to be against it, these neighbors are the furthest from my property line. But everyone else that was here, that was closest to, said yes. I understand if this, I see his concern about the water, but regardless of whatever it is, this property has been bought. I'm going to have to do something with it, regardless whether it is a doggy daycare or whether it is going to be a home or whether it's going to be another hotel. Something is going to have to be done with it. I purchased it. I purchased it for the doggy daycare because it's a love and a desire that I want to do. But not because, you know, it was just a place to take them to. But, I mean, I see what the neighbors are saying, but, and I all due respect, dogs do not bark unless someone's right behind their yard. Dogs bark when someone's at the door. Dogs bark when they see other dogs. If he's talking about dogs in heat, there are going to be guidelines for shots and everything else. So, you know, please take that all in consideration.
Thank you,
Okay?
Ms. Davis.
Thank you.
Is there any other citizens willing to speak? Please limit to 3 minutes. State your name and address.
Yes, good evening. My name is Justin Miller. I live at the property of 212 Lamarack. That would be at the south tip of the zoned area there. We're within the 300 feet. So we stand in opposition to the variance request. We did our diligence when we purchased the property. We certainly wouldn't have purchased the property if there was a kennel just across the street on the other side of the building. We're concerned about noise and smell. We also have small children who are concerned about how these animals will be contained inside of the area. And we would hope that the board here would make the decision to not move forward with granting the variance request. I wasn't sure how to submit in writing that we were opposed. I see that one person did. We did prepare a written statement if there's somebody that I give it to, and to show that we do stand in opposition.
We can take that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Justin. And again, at this time, is there any other citizen willing to speak? Again, sir, please give your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Bill Pass. I'm at 213 Lamarack. That's across the street from the gentleman who just spoke. I share some of the other concerns, but my main concern is health issues. When you have animals, they attract flies. You get other kinds of flying insects because of the smells, even if we can't smell them. You may have a problem with the creek that low, the spillway that runs through may attract ticks and other things like that, things that can't be controlled, fleas that could get into the neighborhood that we live in, that we don't have a problem with now. These are things that no matter how diligent you are, they happen. Animal kennels and other places have these problems from time to time. And I think something in this close of a location to a neighborhood just isn't an appropriate place for a type of kennel housing dogs, animals, what other things. And again, I would add that I don't think anybody starts a business thinking they're going to keep it small. Who knows what expansions are going to be asked for in 2, 3, or 4 years down the road. And there's really no place to expand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bill. Is there any more citizens willing to speak at this time? At this time, we will go ahead and close the public hearing on this matter and ask any commissioners if we have any further discussion or things we'd like to discuss about this property.
I think that if we would have had full, we have the new UDO in place, and working together and, to have that, we wouldn't be having this discussion if we would have had 100%, right? So I think it's important that we've got a UDO for a reason, okay? So I just, there's a opportunity there to work together as a community, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, I would like to say, Ms. Davis, I understand it's an unfortunate situation, especially in buying an investment property, and then you have the UDO that you have to follow by. But as my fellow commissioner said, there are rules that are in place. But I also want you to know that you also have an opportunity that you can go to the city council about it if you disagree with what we recommend. And so we think at that time, if there's no further discussion, I'm asking for a motion or action regarding this item.
Move for denial.
I have one motion for denial. Do I have a second? I have a second for denial. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to our third item, which is the variance request to the minimum lot width for the AC Han subdivision, re-subdivision, the number 2 final plat. May we have the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. Our last variance for the evening is the approval of a variance to the minimum lot width for a proposed single-family lot located at 708 East Constitution Street. The property was previously platted and developed with 3 single-family homes. The owners wish to replat and reconfigure the property into 3 single-family residential lots, with 1 lot being below the minimum lot width requirement. One of the lots being proposed has a lot width of 42 feet, but will not be able to meet, will be able to meet all other development requirements. Staff recommends approval of the variance request to allow the replat of 3 single-family residential lots. Staff has determined the approval of the variance would not significantly change the existing character of the neighborhood. It would not be detrimental to surrounding lots. Condition upon final approval of the variance, staff would ask commissioners to also approve the final plat for AC Han subdivision, re-subdivision number 2, as well as the final plat meet all requirements for detached single-family residential lots.
Do we have any questions for the gentleman? Thank you, sir. At this time, we will go ahead and open up a public hearing for citizens' communication. For if there's any citizen in the audience that would like to speak at this time, you may do so. We ask that you limit it to 3 minutes. Since there is no citizens that's willing to speak at this time, we will go ahead and close the citizens' communication and go any further discussion.
Motion to approve.
So since there's no further discussion,
Second.
we'll go ahead and we have a motion to approve, and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, now we are up to consent agenda. There are two items on the consent agenda, which are the adoption of the minutes from the November 21st, 2024 meeting, and the final plat for the AC Han subdivision, re-subdivision number 2. I'm asking for a motion on accepting.
Motion to accept.
I have one motion to accept. I have a second motion to accept. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we're at the action items for Planning Commission. May we have the staff presentation on the submittal schedule, please?
I'm back, Commissioners. So typically, we don't have to bring y'all the submittal schedule, as typically our regular schedule meetings happen on the third Thursday of every month. However, for June of 2025, the regular commissioner meeting will fall on the federal holiday of June 19th. So staff is bringing to you to approve us on moving the meeting to June 26th the following week and changing the submittal schedule to accommodate that new date and time. So we are asking for your approval of the new submittal schedule with that special meeting.
Any discussion? I mean, I don't have a vote, but I say yes, because sweet potato pie day. But, so do we have a motion okay. So we have one motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we move on to other business. May we have the monthly development report, please?
Okay, so for the monthly activity report, the total is at 252. This would be slightly more than last month. For MAP permits issued, this would be at 132, which would be a slight decrease. And permit fees total at $43,928. This would also be slightly less. There is one minor plat, one major plat, one site plan, and one site modification, as well as a city council action.
We thank you for the monthly reports. We're now at items for the Planning Commission as of.
All right. From last month's meeting, it was asked that we kind of bring back the UDO requirement for multifamily dwellings, minimum off-street parking. So with this month's staff report, I kind of went back over the memo I sent to y'all previously. So what I'm going to do is just kind of do a quick overview from our 1992, which kind of lays out how we had all the different bedroom units and the according parking spaces required at that time. As you can see with the 2024 UDO, we did minimize those parking requirements drastically. So instead of having so many dwelling units broken out, we kind of went to the one bedroom would be at the 1.5 space, and 2 or more, we were going with 2 spaces, and if there's more, then you add an extra half space on that. In the difference between them, let me go back real quick. So some of the major differences between the 92 and the 2024 is that you can see we eliminated the senior living benefit. Before senior living apartments, we only would require 1 space per dwelling unit versus actually counting their bedroom units. Also, a difference is we now do not have the efficiency bedrooms. They are considered the 1 bedroom, and that once again, the 3 or more bedrooms receive a parking reduction benefit, as we would see those type of variants come more often with those 3 and 4 bedrooms having that higher requirement. Some of the similarities that we do have between the 92 and the 2024 is that with neither of these ordinances did we ever take into account requiring a mandatory guest parking in there. Guest parking has always been included within the unit parking requirement. Another similarity that we do have between both ordinances is if there's additional uses with those apartment complexes, we do make them account for those off-street parking requirements, such as if they had a leasing office or a clubhouse, we would be looking at how many bedroom units they have, plus the office space, the clubhouse space, and add those additional parking spaces in there. I kind of provided some test cases for you to kind of show the differences in those parking requirements. As you can see, when we were doing the 3 and 4 bedroom units, you would see a significant kind of increase in parking at 158 for an 80 unit, where now with the 2024, we're at 145 units. You can see with the second test case there is the kind of the senior living. So with the senior living apartment complexes, under the old ordinance, they would be required 75, versus under our new one, they're kind of not given that same benefit. So you're seeing that increased parking with their units at 135. Our third test case is one of those smaller complex units where you would see we have the efficiency 1 bedroom 2, which was 16, where you were at 25, versus under our new, you're gaining 2 additional spaces at 27. Very similar, especially when you look at that 1 and 2 bedroom number, they don't even change on those parking requirements. That last case kind of shows that breakdown of the leasing office being added with the square footage and kind of showing that difference. With the larger complex, you're kind of seeing the 121 versus the new UDO at 114. But I am open at this time, kind of based on our memo and kind of going over these case scenarios. Staff isn't recommending any amendments to multifamily parking, but we are open to questions and feedback.
Does we have any further discussion, anything that we would like to talk about this situation?
I do have one question is, what constitutes multifamily dwelling? And the reason I'm asking that is if I remember clearly, there was a distinction made about there were only 3 units, possibly 4 units abutting, so it didn't qualify under multifamily.
Yes, so it goes back to building code. So building code describes multifamily as 4 or more units, living units, dwelling units, where single family is you're intending to it's a lot that only has meant for one house. So typically, we do classify single family homes, duplexes, and triplexes as a single family lot, where anything over 4, where you're housing multiple families on one lot, as multifamily.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any questions or concerns of anything that we might want to talk about, discuss?
I appreciate the staff work. I think they did an excellent job. The test cases were particularly interesting. Glad to see those, especially with the fish pond development. That has yet to reveal itself, I think. And the reason that this came up was because of a congestion problem we think we faced, but had nothing we could do about it. I was hoping that we might have a solution. Seeing none, I withdraw my objections.
I'd also like to point out on, for example, Fish Pond. So their site was developed under our old code because they had started the development process before we had adopted our new code or far enough along. There is extensive state law vesting rights that developers are privileged to have. Whereas if they take some steps and file some applications, then they are only held to the ordinance that is in place at the time that they start their applications. So, for example, like I said, Fish Pond hasn't broken ground yet, but they have received all of their approvals and their applications are active. And they were started at such a time that it was under our old 1992 ordinance and not the current ordinance. So there can be sometimes frustrations, especially when, in our eyes, we fixed the parking issue because we didn't feel like there was enough on the efficiencies or senior living, but we felt there was too much on the 3 and 4 bedroom because generally people living in 3 or 4 bedroom unit apartments have more children than roommates and therefore not as many drivers. So that's where we are seeing the variances from.
If I heard you correctly, you said that Fish Pond is only going to be required to provide 75 spaces.
Yes, I believe we have 74 units and then the extra space for their office area. Because that was
So
the
you're
night.
counting on everybody who moves in there to have only one car and no parking for staff.
That was a flaw with the 1992 ordinance, which is why the new ordinance changed that.
And so the understanding of it is because that's passed, they were already approved, but moving forward,
Yeah,
no
they were
one will not be able to
vested.
do
They were
that.
vested under the 1992 ordinance, and we obviously saw a big flaw in that, which is why the UDO made those changes.
And it kind of goes with the situation we heard previously of something that was done prior to. And so now that we did try to come together and have something in place for future purposes, then things like that would not happen.
If Fish Pond is being given the old development plans, the 92, is that what you call them? 92, yeah. That ordinance also required or prohibited more congestion than 27 units per acre.
I believe Fish Pond complies because even the acreage is not limited to just the buildable area. It's the overall site.
Which gave you the opportunity to go across the drainage ditch.
They count the drainage ditch as their
Drainage
lot. That's
ditch
part of
from
their
hell.
lot.
I see. As I said, it'll be interesting to see how this reveals itself.
Okay, at this time, do we have any other discussion? Great. So now it moves us to if there's any additional items that any of the commissioners may have or would like to share. I will go first. I would just like to say that I hope that everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We won't see each other to the New Year. I get to use the joke. I hadn't seen you since last year. But I want us to remember that it's not about presents, but it's about being present, and it's about living. And that's what I want to say to you. Will we have anything else? Awesome. At this time, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 5:56 p.m. Adjourned.
Thank you.